What up, everybody? What it do? It is your favorite actor's favorite actor, Sdingo Ngobese, and welcome to Conversations with Us. Today I have Mr. Lutho Lwana. What's your surname again, duh?
It's Lwana.
Lutho Lwana.
Yeah, my name is Lutho, and the surname is Lwana.
Oh, shit. The whole time I'm thinking you're
It's
Lutho Lwana, and
Yeah,
then you have
it's
the
a
surname.
No, I get that a lot. Actually, one of my cousins, she always, even when we were growing up, she'd always say, Lutho Lwana, Nanku Lutho Lwana. So whenever I'm visiting them, they will always say, Dingu Lutho Lwana. Because that's how I'd always introduce myself.
Yes.
So she took that. So everywhere we go, she'd remind me about that.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were growing up, when everyone would ask your name and you'd say, Dingu Lutho Lwana, you know? So every time, even when I'm introducing myself, I always introduce myself with my surname.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's one name. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to clear it up, it is Lutho Lwana.
Yes.
And he is the CEO of Songwriters SA.
Yes. I don't like the CEO title though. But
The president.
Creative director.
Okay. Okay. The creative director of Songwriters SA.
When I began, I used to give myself all those titles, CEO, this and that, But, your gift grows with you. And then that's when I was like, I'm not the CEO, but I'm the creative director, because we are creatives at the end of the day. So, let me give myself that, because I've been looking at the work I've been doing. I'm like, I'm the creative director. I direct and I create, and that's what I am. And
Man, that's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Lutho Lwana is here with us today, and we're going to have a very good conversation. So thank you for joining us, sir.
It's my absolute pleasure.
Why is mental health important to me? So I didn't start out writing my shows to speak on mental health. First time I wrote a play, I started writing it because I wanted to give myself work as an actor, because I used to work, get featured extra roles on TV shows during my training at varsity. And then as soon as I left varsity, one bad experience happened where I lost a job, and then all of a sudden it went dry. So we did a show, and then it became that thing of the reason why we did that show as a crew, we did it because we were just coming out of varsity. It was a good show during varsity, so we wanted to do it again. Now, this coming along, I haven't done any work as well. And after that show finished, I started asking myself, okay, that was a lovely experience and I want to do it again. But this time around, I want to do it myself. I want to be in the forefront of things, because I ended up being in the forefront of the previous work, But shout out to everybody who worked with us on that. So I continued writing and wrote from my experience. When I wrote my first play, Unmasked, I was still, I wouldn't say recovering, but I was still processing my breakup, and so the play that I was, when Unmasked first started, I was writing it as two friends, a guy and a guy, but this friend is basically the guy's imaginary friend who always comes in and checks up on him, right? And then the play developed, and it became a thing of, what if I switch the roles of the one character? Because it was first Jeffrey and Eric. So what if I switch Eric's role and make it Irene? What happens to the story then? You know, because I watch theater a lot. So I asked myself that question, and I did that in the play. And it just became Unmasked and a discovery of what is love. Because Jeffrey is here, because so the girl that broke up with me, the reason why she broke up with me is because she said I never said I loved her. And for me, at that time, love, the word, I had a huge attachment to it, you know. So I started questioning, like, what the hell does that word even mean? Because then if that's what you want, you know, and then I say it, and then nothing changes, when I ask you, okay, does that change anything? And you say no. Okay, and then a few months later, you break up with me because of that particular reason. I started asking myself questions, you know, and the way I ask those questions is through the play, you know. It developed to be this beautiful play where we talk about cultural identity, we talk about the raising of a child, we talk about a relationship between a male and a female, not just romantically, but a relationship, even friends, because they live in one apartment which is owned by the guy, but they sleep in 2 different rooms, yet they are in love with each other, but they never say it because Jeffrey's afraid, and Irene said it once before and Jeffrey said nothing before. So that was the first play. And then Tape Down, I was going through some family stuff, so I was back in KZN. This is an artist who's stuck with people who aren't artists and don't understand and always have suggestions. So I wrote Tape Down because the first time it started, it was called Thoughts in My Head, you know. And then I went down this wormhole of whenever I woke up in the morning and I had like something to say, I'd go on Facebook and I write that shit, you know. And then there came a time where I was like, what if I compile all of these things that I'm writing on Facebook and make them a play? So instead of ranting on Facebook, I started writing in a book. And I wrote them in a way that, you know, they sound like each other, you know, but they're not telling the same story, because it's how I'm feeling on that particular day at that particular time. So I took it to my mentor who directed The Unmasked. You know, I took it to my mentor and I asked him to read it, you know, because I mean, he's directed Unmasked, he's seen my work before, you know. He read it and he told me that he actually gave me the name Tape Down. You know, he's like, I think you should call this Tape Down. And then he told me that I shouldn't be scared of actually just expressing what I actually really want to express, because he can see it, but I'm not going the full extent. You know, so it became that. And then we produced Low Spirits. I don't think you've seen Low Spirits though. You're gonna see it now. Produced Low Spirits, which is about a student who commits suicide, you know. And then I wrote over lockdown because I experienced a whole lot of stuff, but because this whole thing of femicide was big thing, I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, let me write a story that's gonna make a commentary on this, you know, not because I'm just taking what's going on and wanna ride the wave, you know, but because there was a story that we wanted to write before, but it was vice versa than what you see in You Are My Reason. It was actually a male killing the female, and burying her underground, because that's something that really happened in Cape Town, So we want to write a story about that, but then it was that thing of like, why you shouldn't, we don't need to tell a story where a female is getting killed now. So we're like, okay, let me switch the roles again. That's switching the roles from female to male, from male to female, or female to male. So I switched the roles again, and You Are My Reason came out, and yeah, bro. So to answer your question, the reason why I'm in the mental health space with my work is because I noticed a common thread throughout my works, and all my works commented on a psychological or mental health issue that affects the characters, that makes them do what they do. So I make work that questions the strange nature of human behavior, because humans are weird, and I really want to explore that.
As a creative myself, and as a songwriter, I fully understand what you are saying, and I think even in the art space, mental issues is something that is not told enough. Those stories are not told enough, and I think now we need that more than ever, not just as individuals, but as a nation, as a country. Beside COVID, there's just a lot of things that has happened to us, especially black people, we've gone through a lot of traumas, since slavery. You can imagine that passing down generation to generation to generation to generation until it got to us. And us as African people, we particularly don't pay much attention to that, to mental issues. If you are acting in a strange way or behaving in a certain manner, people are too quick to say uyahlanya or uthakathiwe, yabona. But we never really look ususukuthakatha or into zobumdaka, izinto zobumnyama, and just analyze umuntu, yabona. Ujonga uba lo muntu usedlule ezintweni nezinje. So maybe it was bound to happen for them to act in this manner, to behave in this manner, because of the traumas, the traumas that have never been dealt with, the emotions and the feelings that have never been expressed, because they are hidden inside, and no one can understand them. Even when you crying out, no one can hear you, because when you do, uyahlanya. Yabo.
For real.
Or uthakathiwe, yabona. So I think it's a conversation we need to have as a nation, so that we may begin to heal.
Yeah.
Because enye into singabantu abamnyama, we are too quick to forgive without going to the root of the problem and analyzing and to see what went wrong. for us to get here? What went wrong for us to behave in this manner?
Yeah.
You know,
Where's the trauma?
where's the trauma? You know, where does it come from? Why do men kill for no particular reason? Why do men see the need to abuse? Yeah, well, why do women? I'm saying this. Men, when they abuse, most of the time it's physical abuse, you know, and also women abuse, but them more emotionally and financially,
which can be more damaging.
Which can be more damaging to the men psychologically, causing for them to
react a certain way when it comes
yes,
to a certain situation.
Yeah, and I think it's those things, but we need to go back to the root of the problem. You know, it's not something that has happened to this generation. No, it's not something that has happened to the previous generation or the generation before them. You know, it came from afar long ago, and we have made it normal, you know, and I think that's why it's easy to colonize a black person, because of what happened to our forefathers, you know, and what happened to them. They taught it to us, and we thought it was okay, you know, and we never questioned anything.
But the reason why you never questioned is because they were trained ukuthi they were trained ukuthi umuntu omdala akaphendula.
Yes,
you know,
which is why I'm saying, you know, nabo it's those traumas they carried with them, and nabo somehow they thought it was okay, and they passed it down, and the generation after them thought it was okay, and it was just something that was just kept on,
and then that's how it becomes generational trauma.
Yes,
so like, something that is now in your DNA,
you know. So it's like Ebola that's keep on being passed on around, and we are as Ebola again dihlala forever. There will come a time apho izofika iqhabuke khona, and then ubone what's inside. Like I'm from the rural areas,
sure.
So growing up, we used to make Ebola out of plastic.
Same here.
so there would come a time when Ebola izoqhabuka khona okanye ivuleke, and then xa seyivulekile, then you'd see
the amount of plastics,
the amount of plastic work and the dirt, because it's dirty, because you've built it from waste, and uzobona ukungcola kwayo ngaphakathi uphume ngoku into the open, and that's why we are here as this generation, because it papugile ngoku, and it's now in the open. And it shows what we are damaged.
I mean, my friend, because him and I think also to answer your previous question, why mental health, I think like I suffer from a few states, you know, depressive states, anxiety states, you know, so I've learned my body to actually understand those states, you know, and whenever I go in there, I find my way out of it, you know, whether it be through talking to people, through meditation, or whatever it is that I find as a good coping mechanism at that time to get me out of that space. And it's always healthy reasons. I'm trying a way to stay away from substances, to actually get me away from that, so I don't do any of the habits that I do if I'm in that state. I'd rather come out of there sober, so that when I do, go into my recreational space,
you go with the sober mind.
Yes, and with the but no, not with the sober mind, but with a much happier state than I was in. I want to take myself out of a dark space in a sober way, which may be through meditation or whatever it feels right at that time, or even taking a walk. So yeah, basically what got me into this tangent is that I think I also have a few mental health issues, and that's why I went in there, and going back to the whole generational thing of where we are now, the content we consume is very toxic. Some of it, let me rather say, some of it is very toxic, but also, I feel that whole generational trauma, like you say, it's lack of knowledge, but also number two, it's just,
and also ignorance.
Yes,
I
some
think,
ignorance, definitely.
Yeah, I think sometimes we are just ignorant of certain things, and we think it's only for a certain race.
Yes. But I think that's more true for the older generation and not like our generation. And let's say people from their 40s downwards, they're now more aware, of mental health issues. Alright, bro. So yeah, we were saying it's like in terms of the generational trauma, bro. I think like even in educational institutions, yes, the educational system was developed by the authorities who didn't really want the black man to be that educated, because once you're very smart, you are dangerous. You're gonna wake up a whole lot of people, and now we're having the conversations, because like you're saying, we see the ugliness inside this, this facade that kept building up over the years of being quiet. I even saw the trauma that my parents were facing, especially during lockdown. You know what I mean? So, there's something you spoke about though, when you were speaking about the abuse thing, which has also caused us to be where we are now. I don't know if you remember one of the points at the awareness conversation workshop that we had at the Joburg Theatre was a whole thing about the two-way street of gender-based violence, but I don't want us to go there. I want to go to just a two-way street of mental health. There's it's not always one abuser. There can be two abusers. But the one is scarred and the one is not scarred. And
sometimes the abuser can also teach the victim how to be an abuser too.
Exactly. For example, man, we did this one workshop with a foundation, one of my partners, which is an NPO called Standout Foundation back in KZN. So we did a workshop in one of the rural areas, in Tambanan. And one thing we found out, was that there's this old elderly man who's suffering, man. He gets beaten up, verbally abused, all of that stuff. And he can't speak out. He's an elderly man, more than 60 years old. So, uyawazi amadoda leyo generation, indoda ikhali.
Very stubborn.
Indoda ikhali. But I don't think it's stubbornness. It's the way they were taught to be. The longer you're taught to be something, it's either you run away from it or you become that completely. That's what happens to Jeffrey in Unmasked. Jeffrey was taught to be that Zulu man, but he chose to go to England and adopt that character because no, I don't want to do what my father was doing to my mother.
Yeah.
You know? So now this man, he's going through this, but even when he goes and reports it, because it's not like he hasn't reported it, he gets laughed at by the authorities, you know? So what do? You don't do anything. Another example, a friend of mine told me once that there was a man who kept on reporting a case of abuse, physical abuse. He'd always go report. He opened 3 case files against the lady who was abusing him. And every time he'd open it, he'd say, I'm gonna kill her if you guys don't attend to this. After the 3rd time, he did. You know what I mean?
Imagine
and it's not spoken about. You're saying sorry.
Like, yeah, I'm thinking about this man and imagine the mental pressure in your mind. And I'm saying this because in a way I can understand when you are not being heard and you just keep voicing something out, you keep calling, you keep screaming, you keep doing whatever just so you can be heard, and the more you are not heard, the more it creates a pressure in your mind, and then there comes a time where your mind will just explode, and I think that's when the damage is done psychologically, you know. And some people are able to come back from that, some cannot.
That's true, man. Sometimes though we cannot use mental health issues or mental illness as an excuse to cover up people who are naturally monsters. My question to you is, do you think there is a person who is naturally a monster?
True, but not true. I'm just gonna quote Nelson Mandela in one of his quotes. I'm just gonna quote like a line from that quote, and he said, "No man is born hating the other." So when you are born with your innocence. When I'm born with my innocence. Everything we are is because of where we come from and how we were raised and the traumas around the environment we grew up in, you know. So some things develop from when you are very young, and when they are not dealt with, you know, they live within you and they grow out to be this monster that you don't even know yourself. You know, so every man and woman is born with their innocence, what takes away that innocence is the environment.
That's hard. No one is naturally a monster.
Absolutely.
It's their experiences that turn them into what they become. We are a thinking being. That's what makes us different from animals. We think. So once a chemical in the brain either stops being produced into the brain or shifts direction, or one of the roots or the wires rather, let me say, either break, disconnect, don't you think that always causes something? So is behavior not a reflection of a person's psychology?
Yes. Like I said, if everyone is born with their innocence. So if there's something abnormal in your mental state, most of those people are what's the word? Disabled. And you can see a disabled person,
but
in how they think and how they react to certain things. Like I know this one mentally disabled person, when you see them, you think like it's a normal human being, but as soon as they talk, you can pick that up. As soon as they do certain things,
challenged,
you can, once they do some physical activities, you can see that they do not behave. If you are normal, if you know that you are normal, the way they behave, there's a certain ways humans are created to behave in, and all of us as humans, we know how we behave in a normal environment. So certain things, like I said, a man, they don't just wake up and be a monster. You have to go back to their childhood traumas. How did they grow up? I'm not making an excuse for being an abuser. I'm not making an excuse for killing someone intentionally. I'm not making an excuse, but sometimes you must just go back and look at certain things. Like some people are able to pick that up, that, like you said, you have issues with your mental health, and you've picked that up. Oh, it's this and that and that, so some people, they just don't, because the environment they grow up in
doesn't allow
them, or it's something that is never talked about, or to them they grew up as if it's a normal thing. So no one reprimands them to say, so it's something that is developed over some time. It's developed over some time. Like I said earlier, ibola iyambi iqaphuke, and then kuvele ukungcola kwayo ngaphakathi nobubi bayo. So nomuntu njalo, yabona, iyakhula lento, iyakhula nayo, ikhule nayo, and then there comes a time now where that monster inside them comes out and reacts, and it won't react in a normal way.
Man,
so yeah, I think we need more of these conversations, so that people can also do self-introspections unto themselves, and question yourself: am I normal? Am I treating my brother ngendlela, in a normal way, like how we should treat each other as human beings. Am I treating my sister in a normal way? Am I treating my parents, you know, the elders in the community, other people in the community, you know? Am I, you know, doing that? Then and that's why I feel like us as black people in particular, we don't talk a lot. So imagine if we talk more about these things. Imagine if I talked to you on how I feel about certain things that you do, and I voice it out and say, yo, I don't like this and that, you know. I would appreciate if maybe we can work out things like this and that and that, vice versa. And you also tell me, yo, I don't like this behavior, or I don't like this and that, and so that now this is about our way, about okay, I need to behave in a certain manner, so that ukuphila kwethu nokuhlala kwethu sikwazi ukuphilisana kakuhle like normal people, so yeah.
And I don't think you mean normality in a form of like, because artists are not normal, you know. But I think you mean normality in just how you treat a human being.
A human being, like know? you know, like how animals live.
There are rules in the kingdom.
There are rules.
Yeah, there are rules. Although they're not written down or anything, but each animal understands
their habitat.
Yeah. Yes.
They understand their habitat. Yeah. But okay, this is how we live. This is how we do things. So this is how we deal with justice. This is how we deal with certain situations. We don't just. And you find that animals are always together. Whatever happens, they stick together. So because that's their habitat, they're created to be like that. And us as humans, I think because in the hierarchy we are up there, so we have all the power and we are given the free will by God to do whatever. So sometimes there's no one to reprimand us to say yo wrong because uphila with free will yakho oyiniwe nguThixo. So sometimes if free will yakho so yeah, man, it's really deep. And yeah, all I can say is just if you see a brother acting in an unnormal way, I don't know, the type of a person I am is I'm much of and I observe a lot, and the only time when I react is to talk about what I have observed in you, So I don't talk much sometimes, and I'm sometimes not out there, and but I have a gift to see beyond you, to see beyond what normal people see, and what you see of yourself. So if we can be like that, sometimes we do not even have to have that gift, but just you can see when if I know you and now you suddenly
switch up,
so
yeah,
talk bodla yabona mayiqhume la boom ngaphakathi, mayiqhume so that you can heal and give yourself time to heal as well, yabona. And also I think that things we consume as well have an effect.
Yes, definitely. I definitely believe that.
The people we surround ourselves with, the things we drink, the places we go to, the things we watch, they have an effect as well.
Yes, they do. They definitely do.
The words we hear, because amazwi anamandla, yabona. If I can tell you now, you are this and that, so zubento, ukanye, yabona, just hateful words and ayahlala empini.
And the more you hear that for longer,
imagine what it does to a person. And even if you're not hearing them longer, but that stays with you.
It does.
That stays with you mentally.
It does.
And into ozohlala uyicinga, yabona, uzohlala ucinga ezoncinga uba uthe kum, yabo. So that's why abantu, they will remember a lot of the bad things you have done to them rather than the good, because it stays with them. And then also uhleli wedwa, yonke lanto ebeyitsho umuntu kuwe, it plays in their mind. It's like a film, or it's like a song that's on repeat, yabo. So ihlala kubo yo uthe, yabo. And sometimes uzbuza, did he or she really say that about me? And then it eats you up. It eats you up bit by bit. And then you end up believing those words. And you end up believing those words because words are that powerful. So it's important to encourage people to always say good things to people, because if I can say you are beautiful, imagine how a lady feels when you tell her she's beautiful. Imagine how that boosts her confidence, just because you said umuhle. So it's those little things, man, that just build a person up. I grew up singing and thinking, I'm gonna be a singer. Then the songwriting gift came, and that took over everything. But I used to have problems because of certain things that people have said to me. So each and every time when I get onto a mic, those words would come back. Then now I won't have the confidence to perform or do what I was supposed to do. Because our mazwi akuhleli, and xa ebuya futhi they discourage you. So words are that powerful, and man.
That just answered my question that I had for you after that, because I mean, hearing you and listening to you has really shown me, Wuti, you've dealt also with a lot, for yourself, and you've been able to pull yourself out of those spaces. My question was gonna be for you, would say in the ball, but clearly it has, and of course as humans, every day we are constantly working, on our psyche to be better, to be okay, to see the sun in the morning, and really embrace it, and embrace every moment of our experience, because like we say, the gift of life.
I think uThixo wadala uba umuntu akwazi ukuthetha ngelizwi, so that xa sithetha siyadala, because yonke into esiyenzayo siyenza ngokuthetha nangokukholwa. So
umlomo uyadala,
yabona. So if ngoku xa ndiphuma apha ndithi I'm going home, yabo, ndiyadala uba ndiye ekhaya, yabona. If ndithi ngoku ngizokwenza ukuthi nokuthi nokuthi, ndiyadala uba ndizokwenza ukuthi, uba ndithi kusasa ndizovuka ndiye phi ndiye lokwenza ukuthi nokuthi, I'm actually creating that, yabona. So hate is created as much as peace is also created. And that can be done when you talk and speak a word to whatever. That's the power we have as human beings. That's the privilege we have. Ukudlula the animals. They don't have that privilege. That's how God has indlela sixabise ngayo wasibeka pha phezulu. Yabo. So that naxa uthetha ilizwi kwisilwanyana sikuve. Xa uthi inkomo maye ngapha iya ngapha. Xa uyivalela esibayeni iyongena esibayeni because you have commanded a word to it.
Damn power.
But they can't do that to us because they have not given that power. But you as a human being, you are given that privilege, you are given that power. But you are not exercising that power. You are given the free will, but you are not exercising those.
Man, that's power right there, Lutho.
So everything is just about talking and just speaking a word.
And creating with the word.
In
the beginning was the word.
And the word was God. And the word
is God and was with God. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So, imagine uhleli apha, you are discouraged, you are depressed. But imagine if I come and I say something to you and tell you, you are great. You're gonna do that. You're gonna achieve that. And then the next day, and then you think about what I've said and it replays that you are great. And then the next day you wake up and you say, I am great. And then you go do whatever. It's because of the word I spoke to you that gave you life and brought you back.
Power, man.
So we just need to talk.
Just talk, man. Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to everybody. Talk to your neighbor. Talk to your friend. Talk to a stranger. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for man, we listened. It was beautiful, and let's have more of these, bro.
Absolutely.
You're gonna enjoy my play. It's coming very soon.
Okay.
Just waiting to do a few logistics.
Okay.
You're definitely gonna enjoy my play. Tape down, bro. Once again, bro, thank you so much for taking part in conversations with us, man.
Thank you, man. At the end of the day, as human beings, we are all we have. So we can't destroy us. Let's stop destroying each other, because if I destroy you, then who I'm gonna be left with tomorrow? If I destroy you, who I'm gonna talk to tomorrow? So let's just build each other, bantu babuthi, and love each other and support each other. Do whatever to each other as long as it's good and it builds us. And if I can love my neighbor, I like that principle of loving your neighbor. If you love your neighbor, and your neighbor loves their neighbor, and their neighbor loves their neighbor, and all of us in the world, imagine how much love there can be, if every neighbor loved their neighbor, as you love yourself, because uzifunela okuhle wena, yabona, ngoba uyazithanda, yabona. So xa uthanda umakhelwane wakho, nawe uzomfunela okuhle, naye umakhelwane wakhe xa ethanda umakhelwane wakhe uzomthandela okuhle. So and that spreads out, yabo. So
oh man,
that's it.
It's been beautiful. Thank you so much, Lutho.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.